Unshackling the soul, the art of releasing judgment and cultivating authenticity. Welcome, friends. Today, we gather in the spirit of shared humanity, united in our quest to free ourselves from the burdens of judgment and to embrace the true essence of who we are. Authenticity beckons us to shed the heavy cloaks we've woven from societal expectations, self-criticism, and the fear of standing alone in our truth. Let's begin by recognizing that we are all architects of our inner landscape. Each thought, each belief, is like a brick that stacks to form the structures within us. Over time, we may find that some of these bricks are not our own. They've been handed to us by the judgments of others or by our own hand under the weight of misperception. And so, we must carefully examine these bricks to determine which are ours to keep and which we must let go. One of the heaviest bricks we can carry is the judgment we cast upon ourselves. Judgment is often a veil that obscures our true nature. When we judge, we label, we limit, and we tether our spirits to a narrative that may not be our own. But what if we were to release that judgment? What would happen if we allowed ourselves to step into the light of our authentic being, unencumbered by the shadows of shoulds and should-nots? The journey to authenticity is not for the faint of heart. It requires us to meet our vulnerabilities face to face, to embrace them with the tenderness of a loving parent. It asks of us to be brave enough to live out loud, our unique colors blazing against the canvas of the world. And in this act of courage, we find freedom. To live authentically, we must first understand the origin of our judgments. They are often born from fear, the fear of not belonging, the fear of rejection, the fear of failure. These fears whisper tales that lead us to believe we are not enough as we are. But in truth, these fears are but phantoms, and when we confront them, we often find that they have no power over us. When was the last time you felt the weight of judgment upon you? Was it a voice from within or a chorus from the crowd? And in that moment, did you allow it to define you? Now, imagine peeling away that judgment, layer by layer, until you stood bare in your own light. What would you see? Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lessons. In our quest to live authentically, we must learn to distinguish between the voice of judgment and the voice of our deepest self. The voice of judgment is sharp, laden with shoulds and musts. It speaks in absolutes and deals in the currency of fear. But the voice of our deepest self is gentle. It speaks in possibilities. It sings in the key of love, and it knows the dance of freedom. We can cultivate the ability to hear our true voice by creating spaces of silence in our lives. In silence, we can hear the whispers of our soul that are too often drowned out by the noise of judgment. We can sit with ourselves, our thoughts, our feelings, and let them be without the rush to categorize or change them. It is in these moments of stillness that authenticity blossoms. But how do we hold on to this authenticity in a world that often values conformity? It starts with the understanding that authenticity is not a static state, but a dynamic process. It is the ongoing practice of aligning our actions with our values, of honoring our individuality while recognizing our interconnectedness with all things. Living authentically means being willing to be seen, truly seen, for who we are. It means being transparent with our intentions and consistent in our actions. It means having the courage to say no when something doesn't resonate with our spirit and to say yes when it does, even if it goes against the grain. We also must be mindful of the judgments we cast upon others. Each time we label or limit another, we reinforce the very chains we seek to break within ourselves. Instead, we can choose to approach others with curiosity rather than judgment, with the intention to understand rather than to assess. Practical advice for letting go of judgment begins with self-compassion. We must be kind to ourselves in our human imperfections, for it is through our imperfections that our unique beauty shines. Each mistake, each falter, is an opportunity to learn, to grow, to deepen our compassion for ourselves and others. Self-compassion paves the way for self-acceptance. When we accept ourselves fully, the need for external validation diminishes. We no longer seek to mold ourselves to fit the boxes created by others. Instead, we become the sculptors of our own destiny, shaping our lives with the chisel of our truth. Yet, as we wield this chisel, we must also practice discernment. Not every thought that crosses our mind is a reflection of our true self. Some thoughts are echoes of the past, others are fears of the future. Discernment allows us to navigate these thoughts, to acknowledge their presence without allowing them to steer the ship of our being. To strengthen discernment, we can engage in reflective practices such as journaling or meditation. These practices give us the space to observe our thoughts and feelings without attachment, to see them as separate from our essence. By doing so, we can choose which thoughts serve our journey to authenticity and which we can let pass like leaves on a river. Another practical step is to define our values. Our values are like stars by which we navigate. The brighter they shine in our consciousness, the clearer our path becomes. Spend time identifying what truly matters to you. What principles do you wish to live by? What qualities do you admire in others? These reflections can illuminate your values and guide your choices. Living authentically also means embracing change. As we grow and evolve, so too may our expression of authenticity. It is not about being unwavering, but about being true to ourselves in the present moment. We must be willing to let go of who we were to become who we are meant to be. Let us also consider the power of authenticity in our relationships. When we show up as our true selves, we give others permission to do the same. Authentic relationships are built on a foundation of honesty and trust, where masks are unnecessary and hearts can communicate openly. In these relationships, let us practice active listening. Active listening is not merely hearing the words of another, but truly receiving them, with the intent to understand rather than to respond. It is a gift we give to others, a sign of respect and a demonstration of our commitment to authenticity. Now, imagine standing before a mirror, gazing into your own eyes. Beyond the reflection, beyond the surface, there lies a soul yearning to express itself without reservation. Can you feel the longing? It is a call to authenticity, a call to be who you are without the heaviness of judgment. And so, we must ask ourselves, what would life look like if we lived from this place of authenticity? How would our days change if each action, each word, each thought were an expression of our truest self? As we consider these questions, we understand that living authentically is not a destination but a manner of being. It is a choice we make with each breath, a statement to the universe that we are here and we are real. Authenticity also extends to the way we navigate the world. It is choosing to act not out of a desire for reward or recognition, but from a place of alignment with our true nature. It is finding joy in the act itself, in the expression of our essence. In this expression, let us also embrace the authenticity of others. Each person is a universe unto themselves, a unique blend of experiences, dreams, and insights. When we honor the authenticity of others, we enrich the tapestry of our collective existence. As we move through life, let us do so with the grace of authenticity, the strength of vulnerability, and the wisdom of self-awareness. Let us release the weight of judgment and instead lift each other up with the lightness of our genuine being. But authenticity is not without its challenges. We may face resistance, both from within and from the world around us. It takes resilience to stand in your truth when the winds of conformity blow strong. It takes perseverance to walk your path when the road is unpaved and the direction unclear. In these moments of challenge, let us remember why we seek authenticity. It is not for accolades or acclaim, but for the peace that comes from living in harmony with our soul. It is for the fulfillment found in genuine connections and the freedom that blooms from within. Let us also acknowledge that authenticity does not mean we are never influenced by others. We are, by our nature, social beings, interwoven with the threads of community. Our challenge is to remain open to the influence of others without losing the essence of who we are. In this delicate dance, let us be both teachers and students. Let us share our light with the world while remaining receptive to the wisdom that surrounds us. For it is in this exchange that growth occurs, that authenticity flourishes. And so, we come to the end of this part of our exploration, but the conversation is far from over. The art of releasing judgment and cultivating authenticity is a lifetime practice, a journey we undertake with each new dawn. As we move forward, let us do so with intention, with compassion, and with the courage to be nothing more or less than who we truly are. In authenticity, we find not only the essence of our being, but the very heart of what it means to be human. The luminous path, navigating inner truth amidst the world's echoes. As we advance on our path, we turn our gaze inward to explore the depths of our inner truth. This inner truth is the compass that guides us through the tumultuous seas of life's circumstances. It is our most faithful ally in the quest for authenticity. The pursuit of inner truth demands that we develop a keen sense of self-awareness. Self-awareness is the light that reveals the contours of our inner landscape, the peaks of our joys, the valleys of our sorrows, and the rivers of our desires. It is through self-awareness that we can discern the voice of our true self amidst the cacophony of judgments, both internal and external. To cultivate self-awareness, we must be willing to engage in honest self-reflection. This means observing our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors without the distortion of judgment. It is a practice of witnessing our experiences as they are, rather than how we wish them to be. In the pursuit of self-awareness, we must also explore the roots of our judgments. Often, our judgments are not born in isolation, but are the fruits of seeds planted long ago by our upbringing, our culture, and our personal experiences. By understanding the origins of our judgments, we can begin to unravel the threads that bind us. When we judge ourselves harshly, we reinforce the walls that separate us from our inner truth. We become prisoners in a fortress of our own making. But what if we chose to dismantle these walls brick by brick, to liberate ourselves from the confines of self-judgment? Imagine a world where you could be free from the shackles of self-doubt, where the specter of judgment no longer looms over your every choice. What would it feel like to live in that world? How would you move, speak, and love differently? The path to such a world is paved with the practice of forgiveness. Forgiveness is the key that unlocks the door to our inner prison. It is an act of compassion towards ourselves for the times we have fallen short of our expectations, and it is a balm that soothes the wounds inflicted by our self-judgment. As we practice forgiveness, we must also extend it to others. By releasing others from the grip of our judgment, we free ourselves in the process. Judgment creates a barrier not only between us and others, but also between us and our true selves. Living without judgment does not mean abandoning discernment. Rather, it is about approaching life with an open heart and an open mind. It is about allowing ourselves and others the space to be human, to grow, to err, and to evolve. We must also recognize that authenticity is not about perfection. It is about embracing the full spectrum of our being, from our lightest lights to our darkest shadows. When we accept ourselves in our entirety, we step into a power that is both humbling and exalting. This acceptance does not happen overnight. It is a gradual process, one that unfolds in the small choices we make each day. It is the choice to speak our truth, even when our voice shakes. It is the choice to stand by our values, even when we stand alone. It is the choice to honor our needs, even when they go against the tide. As we make these choices, we may find that others do not always understand or support our journey toward authenticity. It is in these moments that our commitment to our inner truth is tested. Will we waver, or will we stand firm in the knowledge of who we are? The strength to stand firm comes from building a foundation of self-trust. Self-trust is nurtured through the consistent alignment of our actions with our inner truth. When we trust ourselves, we become our own anchor, unwavering in the face of life's storms. To build self-trust, we must be willing to take risks. We must dare to step out of our comfort zones and into the unknown. It is in the unknown that we discover new aspects of ourselves, that we stretch the boundaries of our capabilities. In this journey, let us also cultivate patience. The road to authenticity is not linear. It is a spiral where we may encounter the same lessons in different forms. Patience allows us to approach each repetition not with frustration but with curiosity. What new understanding can be gleaned from this familiar challenge? And as we learn and grow, let us share our stories with one another. Our stories are powerful vehicles for connection and transformation. When we share our journey toward authenticity, we inspire others to embark on their own. But how do we share our stories in a way that honors our truth and respects the receptivity of others? It begins with vulnerability. To be vulnerable is to allow ourselves to be seen, truly seen in our strength and in our fragility. Vulnerability is not about oversharing or seeking validation. It is about showing up in our authenticity and allowing others to show up in theirs. It is an invitation to connection, one that acknowledges the inherent risks and chooses to engage anyway. In sharing our stories, we also practice listening, the kind of listening that is an act of love. To listen deeply is to hold space for another's truth without interjecting our own judgments or advice. It is to witness their humanity with empathy and compassion. Ultimately, the luminous path of navigating our inner truth amidst the world's echoes is a journey of love, love for ourselves, love for others, and love for the journey itself. It is a path that asks us to be brave, to be kind, and to be true. As we walk this path, let us remember that each step is a choice. We can choose to walk in fear or in love, in falsehood or in truth. And with each step taken in truth, we illuminate the way not only for ourselves but for all who walk alongside us. So, dear traveler, as you continue on your path, hold your inner truth close. Let it be the light that guides you through the darkness, the anchor that holds you steady in the storm, and the compass that points you towards the life you are meant to live, a life of authenticity, a life of love, a life of truth.